Well, I know we have high divorce, but that certainly doesn't have a lot to do, or we don't have the connection yet established, if there is a direct connection between the high divorce rates and the divorce court activity and the fact that they're being raped in the bedroom by their husbands.
Well, according to the divorce attorneys that we've been working with, the women often are so traumatized by the battering situation and the divorce situation, and the rape situation, that they can't go through all of those mechanical, bureaucratic, legal documentation, and they keep saying, I just want to get away from him, I'm very frightened, let him have everything, just, get him away from me, and this kind of thing. And they give up their rights to everything else, and it takes weeks and weeks often of psychological counseling before she will even agree to ask for the things that are rightfully hers under the law. And the family attorneys, the family law attorneys, are beginning to understand what that's about now, and they're beginning to get more training from psychologists and from shelter workers and rape crisis counselors to understand why the women are coming to them in such devastating conditions.
Would you conjecture that they're being psychologically battered less than they're being raped when it comes to the cause for the divorce, the high divorce?
Well, I would say that there's a great deal of psychological battering but what you have to realize is the structure of marriage is still such that the man is the owner of his wife, as a result of which the psychological battering is part of the nature of the structure of marriage. Right. And that's why we have to change that in order for people to treat each other better.
Quick phone call for you. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Cliff?
Yes.
Listen to your guest there. She represents herself as an expert in law and psychiatry and psychology. What is her qualifications?
Well,
I'm an expert only on what's coming out from these various fields. I'm a librarian, and I'm coming from a place of trying to bring together all of the people concerned with violence against women in our society, and particularly on the issue of marital rape. And the library that we have at the National Clearinghouse on Marital Rape, maybe I should give the address. If you want to write and find out what our publications are and what our work is, it's the National Clearinghouse on Marital Rape, 2325 Oak Street, OAK, in Berkeley, 94708. And we are not funded by anybody, so we do need a stamp return envelope. Meanwhile, the qualifications that I have, again, are simply as a regular citizen who was outraged when I discovered that rape was legal in my state and at that point in 45 other states. This was back in '79, and I just could not tolerate that any kind of violence against a person could be condoned, and I just went to anybody and everybody on the streets and otherwise in various organizations and ended up spontaneously running the campaign in California. So that's just, I'm a regular person, and I don't have any fancy degrees in those fields.
Do you think she needs a degree to talk about this particular subject, sir?
I think that she should have some experience other than just be a person off the street getting on a show talking about, making comments about these certain points of law.
Well, but basically all she has done is recount to you and to our studio audience here the kinds of things that have happened in the courts, as has been reported in newspapers and magazines and books, and she has basically compiled information, and she's giving us a perspective on it from that
and that's just off the
background.
Street. And that isn't where the action is about rape and marriage either. I mean, again, we document what is going on, and there are no national or state agencies documenting this at all. Our Attorney General didn't realize we had 16 convictions. I mean, our Attorney General in California.
We thank you for your phone call, sir.
Okay.
We'll return with more of Seattle Today right after this message.
Last payday, Jane spent $30 to clean her family's clothes at the dry cleaners. This payday, less than $1 to clean them at home with new Sweater Fresh. It turns your dryer into a cleaner. Spray, then toss in the dryer and tumble 2 minutes to remove light dirt, wrinkles, and odors. 8 sweaters, 4 skirts, 3 silk blouses, and a corduroy blazer later, Jane declared,
Sweater Fresh is revolutionary and saves me a bundle.
New Sweater Fresh turns your dryer into a cleaner.
Thursday night on King Television, Everest, North Wall. Travel through China and exotic Tibet with the 1982 China Everest Expedition in their extraordinary attempt to become the first to scale the mountain from the north side. Everest, North Wall. 17 gave their best. Thursday night at 8 on King 5. Brought to you by the people of Pacific Northwest Bell, who are constantly working to keep your telephone constantly working with service and products beyond the call.
We're Vertronics, an international electronics corporation. Security is our business. This is our research and development center. The very same engineers who design systems that safeguard world leaders against terrorism and countries against sneak attack have taken the bug, one of the most effective systems known to man, and made it even more effective. Using the new advanced sensor technologies and working with the science of sonics, the bug detects a burglar's sounds, stopping him by unleashing a fury of blinding light and a blasting, piercing siren, stopping that burglar and sending him fleeing into the night. And what's most important, stopping him before he gets in. With the extra protection available, even a blackout or power failure can overcome the bug. What's more, the bug gives you security and insurance, the insurance you'll probably never need. So call now, 800-345-8600, for this free brochure with 24 tips to stop a burglar. That's 800-345-8600. Call for the very affordable bug. Can you afford not to?
Yes, I was wondering, if the husband wants a child and the wife doesn't, and she's been taking birth control pills, and he finds out about it, and he rapes her after he throws them out, can she protest against it?
That's a very good question. You're talking about protesting the actual rape?
Yes.
Protesting the fact that he's forcing pregnancy upon her.
He's forcing pregnancy on her.
That's very interesting because one of my fields is history, and in the 19th century, this is exactly what our movement now was called. It was called the Movement for Voluntary Motherhood. And the reason that it was of concern is that women were dying from childbirth. In those days, I mean, the medical facilities were obviously horrendous. And even now, pregnancy is 7 times more dangerous than having an abortion. You've probably seen the latest government figures on that. I think that the answer would be yes, that if he forces her into sexual intercourse in the few states, in the 11 where he could be prosecuted, she should be able to protest that for sure.
Okay. We have another question.
Yes. What about the idea that rape has to do with a lot of violence? What if a man forces himself upon a woman passionately and non-violently? How can this be claimed as rape?
Well, it's very simple. If she doesn't want it.
Well, he's doing it passionately and
Well, maybe
gently,
she doesn't want it that moment. Maybe she would like his passion next week or tomorrow morning.
What about, but how would it hold up in court? It wouldn't be called rape, though. So it really isn't a rape unless
it would be. If it's against her consent, then it is.
But there's no violence taking place. How can this hold up in court?
But that is violence. When you do something against somebody else's will, it is a violent act. For instance, the definition of battery is the classic one they teach you in law school is if a pygmy kicks a giant in the shins, even though the harm, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that much. It is what's called unwanted touching. So if it's unwanted, it is a violation of another person.
And by the way, you might be interested to know that many rape cases where marriage was not involved, the rapist in the court described a very passionate, love-making attempt with the lady, showering her with all kinds of affection, forcing her to a certain extent, but trying to play Romeo, and it was still considered rape. And he was still prosecuted and still sent to jail.
What about leading a man on? Many girls that I have known would lead a man on into a certain situation and then scream rape, yet he's still doing a passionate act in his mind. How can this be right? And then again, he'll go to court. He's the one who's going to get prosecuted and not the woman. That's not correct.
Did she ever say no?
Of course she says no.
When she led him on to a point where, like, for instance, she led him on to kissing her, and then all of a sudden he turns on her violently, and she says no.
Yeah, let's say that she draws him in to a certain point beyond the stage where there's almost